All right, how you doing? It is the radio guy, the Dr. Mike Prince. Welcome to another episode of the Mike Prince Show, coming to you daily from the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Of course, our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook handle is the Mike Prince Show. The website is obnradio.com, and of course, our YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network, OPEN, capital MIC Broadcast Network. And without any further delay, we'll jump right into today's episode. Of course, we're still railing in the fact that Prairie View was dismantled on this past weekend against the Southern Jaguars by the score of 38-0. We heard about the Unigate and everything else, and we'll continue to talk about that a little further on, I'm pretty sure, because I got some interesting responses that I'm going to address later on throughout the week. We got a bye week, so we got a whole lot to discuss and talk about on that. What I want to do right now, I want to give the latest top 10 poll that was issued out from Box to Row for HBCU football. Prairie View did take a drop in the ranking. As a matter of fact, they were number one in some people's eyes. We'll give you that reading where they are in just a moment. We'll start off at number 10 are the Howard Bison. Number 9, Norfolk. Number 8, Southern University. Number 7, Prairie View. Number 6, Tennessee State. Number 5, Bethune-Cookman. Number 4, Grambling State University. Number 3, Alcorn State. Number 2, North Carolina A&T. And number 1, the FAMU Rattlers. Of course, you know that FAMU pulled off what some are going to call the upset over North Carolina A&T by the score of 22-21. Pulled off a huge upset with everything that was going, quote unquote, against the Rattlers with the effects of Hurricane Michael. But they were able to go together and collectively put together a masterful game plan to edge out the Aggies and remove them from the top shelf, if you would. And they are now number 2, and FAMU is number 1, and deservedly so, because you always have to beat the man in order to become the man. FAMU has a bye week before they get back on the field, and we were able to sit down and chat with Coach Shotgun Willie Simmons, and we'll now switch over to that conversation. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? I have on the line with me a man who I must first give my apologies to, and that's none other than Coach Shotgun Willie Simmons of the FAMU Rattlers. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing well, Mike. Why you owe me an apology?
Well, I owe you an apology, man, because I bet against the house. I thought with Hurricane Michael and everything that was coming in that it would have been a lot of distractions on these young men. But you go on the road, take care of business, and I'm man enough to admit when I made a mistake. So I apologize. Do you accept my apology, sir?
Well, hey, you know what? Like you said, it takes a real man to admit when they were wrong. So I appreciate you, saying that on the air. But now you know our relationship extends a long way. So I'm just surprised you bet against it, brother.
Well, you know what, man? It's never personal. I try to be as logical as I can be, and the champion was the champion until proven otherwise. And I guess you guys proved otherwise. Congratulations on a huge road win.
Oh, well, no, it was a phenomenal win, for these young men, for the program, for Florida A&M, and even for everyone who suffered tremendous loss last week. You know, as Hurricane Michael came through and really devastated this community in this region of Florida. It's the worst hurricane that we've ever experienced here. You know, Category 4, which 2 miles far away from being a Category 5. And we've, as a football team today, gone out and done some community service. And just to see the destruction up close and personal, it's a sight to see. And it really, I don't think people fully understand the magnitude that this hurricane had on this area, and just the resilience of these guys to go through all of that, endure everything they had to endure last week, and then to go up and take on the reigning Black College National champs, and and pull a come from behind victory on the last second field goal is just a true testament to these guys' character. And I've been saying that since I took over the job in December, that it's a special group of guys, and they're really starting to believe everything that we're selling to them as far as being a team, overcoming adversity, believing in each other, and it's really starting to show up on Saturdays. And they're kind of hitting their stride at the right time, and we're fortunate to be leading the MEAC. First 4-game winning streak since 2011. First time being 4-0, probably longer than that. And so just extremely happy for these guys. And the bye week comes at a perfect time because we need it. And cause, hopefully we can continue to get better because right now we control our destiny. And after 7 games, it's really all you can ask.
We're talking right now with Coach Shotgun Willie Simmons. They go on the road to take care of North Carolina A&T by the score of 22-21. You spoke about the devastation of Hurricane Michael. Just a year ago, you had to deal with the devastations of Hurricane Harvey here in the Texas area. How much of that experience helped you into gathering and rallying your guys around for this experience coming around to deal with Michael?
Well, circumstances were a little bit different in the sense that last year, obviously it came the week of Labor Day Classic. And because it was Prairie View and Texas Southern, both teams would be affected by the storm. And so it was really an easy decision by the powers that be to postpone the game to Thanksgiving weekend because, school was shut down for both teams, wouldn't been able to practice. It would have been a lot to ask the fans and everyone else to really participate in that game the week after one of the worst storms that ever hit the Houston area. And so it was different in that sense to where this year it only affected us. Of course, they got a little bit of the tail end of the storm up in Greensboro. They lost some power, but just to have to make the decision whether to evacuate, move the team, just a lot of logistical things that had to go into planning last week to ensure not only the physical safety of our student athletes, but the mental stability of them as well. We have guys from West Florida, from Panama City area, whose family members lost pretty much everything. And for those guys to have to endure that and to still prepare for a football game was definitely a challenging task. So there were some things that helped me deal with the parents. Obviously, the parents was the number one concern because they obviously wanted to ensure that their kid was safe. And so I commend our president, Dr. Larry Robinson, our athletic director, Dr. John Eason, and everyone who met nonstop on Monday and Tuesday to come up with a plan that gave us the best chance to keep the team together, to keep them safe, and also to prepare to win a game because obviously, the MEAC and the conference office saw fit to keep the game on, and so we had to do that. We had to play the game. We had to prepare to play the game, and so dealing with Harvey was definitely tough. But I think postponing the game last year was obviously the right decision, and we fought for that this year. Obviously, it didn't happen, but I think just the resiliency of everyone involved was what really just impressed me throughout the entire week. And so every storm is different. I think Harvey, impacted the area with obviously flooding for days and days. Here, the flooding wasn't the problem. It's just the devastation of the winds coming through this part of Florida. And you see, big oak trees rooted out of the ground as you drive down the highway. I mean, you see trees on top of houses. You see power lines down. I mean, it's something that you can only dream about and really nightmare about. So, but glad it's over. As far as the storm, there's obviously a lot of makeup that we have to do to get a lot of communities back to even function. There are places that'll be without power probably for the rest of the year. And so it's just going to be a tall task for everyone involved to restore a sense of normalcy. And we're trying to do our part as a football team to do what we can, going out, passing out waters, food, wherever we can help out. And again, I think that the bye week came at a perfect time, not only for us physically to get healthy, but to be able to help out during this tough time.
Talking again right now with Shotgun Willie Simmons. The FAMU Rattlers go on the road to take on two storms. Now, I heard you say in your statement that you guys did at one time try to at least postpone this game, and obviously that did not happen. So there was some sort of, I would say, resistance to get this game going, knowing the cause and effect that could happen. But nonetheless, you weather that storm and you move forward. The game itself, you were the Willie Simmons of old, man. You went through your bags of tricks with your trick plays, and once again, I've always given you this hard time. You guys showed some defense and showed up and bowled their neck when they needed to.
Well, I mean, people have really kind of given me a, a mantra of being, an offensive guy. Even though I've been a head coach now for 4 years, the fact that I call it offense and the fact that I've been a part of, prolific offenses, um, that's kind of what my niche is. But I tell you what, man, this defensive bunch, your man Ralph Street, who you can never get to interview, he still doesn't do interviews. So
Right,
I feel bad.
and a lot of people don't know he's the original ghost, and I affectionately call Coach Dooley the ghost, and it's no harm intended. It's just because these guys didn't like to speak in the microphone. So the original ghost is taking care of business right now. We'll call him the Rattler Ghost.
That's right, man. But I tell you what, man, he had those guys playing at such a high level. I mean, you take away the Troy game, which obviously Troy's an FBS opponent, and I mean they've gone on the road to beat Nebraska. I mean they've shown that they're a formidable football team. But you take away that game, I mean this defense has given up about 11 points a game, and I mean A&T was a prolific offense. And of course, Norfolk State the week before had just put up 54 points. The week before we played them, and to shut that team out to really hold North Carolina A&T for all intents and purposes to really one touchdown drive. I mean they returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. And we had a punt block that they returned to the 1 yard line, and of course scored the next play. But they only had one drive where they actually drove the length of the field and scored. And so again, those guys are playing extremely well. They're disciplined. They fly to the football. They play with a knack, and it's fun to watch those guys. And they really have taken on the identity of their defense coordinator, Ralph. I mean, you know him; he's a fiery guy, intense guy, passionate guy, and that's how those guys are playing. And so it's really rewarding, refreshing to know that we don't have to necessarily go out and try to score 40 points every game because our defense is keeping us in really every ball game, and we'll need to do so. Obviously, we have a lot of football left to play. We're going to go up against some high-powered offenses here in the next few weeks. But again, if how they played, how they prepared is an indication of things to come, we feel really, really good about our chances, the rest of the season because, as you know, and you always say, defense wins championships, and those guys are really playing at a championship level right now.
Well, I'm just glad you give me a little credit, man. We go back and forth, and you talking about y'all call me the offensive guy. You the offensive guy talking about the seats and the cute uniforms and all that kind of stuff. Man, slap a number on my back where they can see when I get this quarterback sack to win us the championship. That's the way I look at it. Talking with Shotgun Willie Simmons. Now, you're in the peripheral driver's seat right now. What is the message that you give to Rattler Nation, and particularly your guys on those X's and O's?
Well, we had a team meeting today, and just kind of give them the plan for the week. Whenever you have a bye week, you want to make sure that you maximize this time. And it is, of course, you saw, maybe saw last week. You can really, the bye week can help you. I think sometimes it can hurt you because guys are, football players are especially creatures of habit, and when you have the habit of that 4 day or 5 day preparation time to prepare for a game, they get used to that. Then when you have a bye week and you're not practicing as much, or maybe you're modifying practice a little bit, it kind of gets them out of their routine. And sometimes guys don't take those extra practices as serious because they know they don't have an opponent to necessarily prepare for that week. And so for us, we had a long talk with our guys about what we're trying to accomplish. And really, it's three main things. The first thing, like I alluded to earlier, is to really do everything we can with this extra time to help out in this community however we can. I think that's first and foremost. I mean, we started that today. We sent two groups out. one to pass out food and water, another group over to pass out waters and help move some branches and things of that nature. And we're going to try to do that for the rest of the week, whenever time permits. The second goal is to really get caught up academically. Obviously, during the football season, guys are leaving on Fridays and missing some classes, and so we have midterms this week, and so we really want to make sure that our guys kind of lock back in academically and get caught up in that area and have a good showing in midterms. And then obviously the last thing is you want to get back to basics, get more fundamentally sound. I think our message for our team is that, and the way we keep them motivated is we tell them, we have a saying here that we chase perfection, and if we chase perfection, we'll hit excellence along the way. And even though we're undefeated in MEAC play, leading the conference right now, we still haven't played a perfect game. And even after the big win yesterday, there were so many mental errors that we had, so many missed opportunities, mishaps in special teams, and things that we can work on to get better at. And so until we play that perfect game, we still have work to do. And I guess 4 points really. And the last one obviously is to get healthy. We have a lot of guys that are playing banged up, obviously after 7 weeks of physical football. Obviously, the bodies are beat up. We got some guys injured. Our quarterback basically played. Had a gutsy performance yesterday, playing with basically a baseball-sized knot in his lower back. Our leading receiver, Chad Hunter, is battling ankle injury for the last 3 or 4 games. Bishop Bonnet, our leading rusher, tweaked his ankle against Norfolk, and he didn't play as much yesterday. So a lot of guys need to get healthy this week. So those are really the 4 main things we're trying to accomplish. But I think the message for Rattler Nation is that this football team is going to continue to work. That's our rallying cry. Whether we're winning, losing, up or down, all we know is to go back to work, and that's what we're going to do this week. And hopefully, we'll use this time wisely and prepare to hit this home stretch. Because as you all know in football, it's really what you're doing in the latter part of October and November that most of the time determines where you finish up in the standings.
Absolutely. We're talking with Shotgun Willie Simmons. FAMU Rattlers are definitely on the inside track right now as far as leading their way toward the MEAC representation that could lead to the Celebration Bowl. Well, you know that I always call you little brother, man, because I mean it, and it's always good to see that you guys do well. You've accepted my apology, so I'm feeling better about that right now. You have a balance of you got two more home games, right, and then 2 more road games. Is that correct?
Right. Next game is home against Morgan State. And then we'll travel to D.C. to take on Howard, who's playing, extremely well right now on the one conference loss. Then we'll come back home to play South Carolina State, which that game won't count in the MEAC standings. Obviously, once Hampton left the league this summer, each team who had Hampton on the schedule decided that we weren't going to play them. And so we all had to scramble to try to find another game. And as opposed to looking outside the conference and trying to find another game, we all decided that teams in the conference who had mutual open dates, we would just schedule those, and we wouldn't count them towards the conference standing. So we'll play South Carolina State this year, and that game won't count in the conference standing. And then we'll finish up in the Florida Classic, obviously, against Bethune-Cookman.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this, and I don't know if you're at liberty to say so. If not, just tell me and I'll move on. In the case where you have to replace that Hampton game, do you treat that as just a regular home and home invite, or is there a fee that would come with that to bring that other conference school in, even though it's a non-conference game?
Yeah, we treat it as any other game, non-conference game. So there is a small payout that we're paying South Carolina State to travel down, and I think that's pretty much how most teams negotiated it. Obviously when you incur another road trip, that you didn't plan for, obviously there's some logistical costs that associated with it, and so we wanted to entice, I guess you could say, South Carolina State to take the game. And so there's a small financial payout for them to come down here. But, that's a rivalry for us, and I think our fans want to see that game. For whatever reason, it wasn't on the schedule. But I think that's a game that South Carolina State fans as well as FAMU fans want to see. And so we're very excited to have them come to Tallahassee this year. And obviously next year, once they reshuffle the schedule, everyone will play. So we'll resume our normal rivalry. But definitely exciting game for us. And of course, have some games to take care of before we get to that point. But definitely excited to have South Carolina State back on the schedule.
Absolutely, and that's not too far of a commute for you guys from South Carolina to Florida, is it?
No, it's not. Looking at the MEAC, it's a conference that stretches really from Florida all the way up to Delaware. I guess it's the furthest school north, and of course, the two Florida schools with us in Bethune, and then South Carolina State is the next most southern school right there in South Carolina. So, not a bad trip for them. About a 6-hour bus ride, which is pretty reasonable. And but again, you talk about the history of FAMU and South Carolina State. There've been a ton of great games that extends way back when both teams were members of Division Two and one of the other conferences. And again, it's just a game that again our fans want to see, and that realistically and honestly, we probably should find a way to play every single year, even if we weren't conference opponents.
Well, with the scheduling reshuffling where everybody's going to play each other again, you'll be able to rectify that. So my insight is this. You're already hosting South Carolina this season, even though it's non-conference. Maybe you guys have to go repay the visit next season, or do you try to get them back to back at home?
Well, once the league sets the conference, and I think they already have set the conference schedule for next year. I think they try to do their best job of making sure that teams didn't have to travel to the same place in back-to-back years. So obviously, it's never perfect, and I think there are a couple of teams that have to do that. But again, I think Commissioner Thomas and everyone, at the conference office worked diligently to try to put a schedule together with the untimely exit of Hampton to try to appease every team, every member school in the MEAC. And it's a tough challenge because of the timing. Whenever a team leaves in the middle of the summer, schedules are already made, and there's a lot of pre-planning that goes into that. So again, I tip my hat to the commissioner and his staff for doing what was best for every member school of trying to get teams to play games and not have to travel in back-to-back weeks. I think they have a schedule where you play a home conference game and an away conference game. So, but that's for next year. Obviously, we'll cross that hurdle when we get there. But again, I think they've done the best job they could of trying to appease every member school.
Well, speaking of doing the best job that they can, the FAMU Rattlers are sitting on top of the hill right now in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, led by shotgun Willie Simmons and the new look Rattlers. Coach, as always, we do wish you nothing but success and luck, and keep, they say, fighting the good fight. And I'm going to give you some final thoughts and comments on this segment.
Well, as always, it's always an honor and a pleasure to be on the show. And people know our friendship extends way beyond, Prairie View or FAMU or even radio. I consider you a brother, and appreciate everything that you do. But during this time, I just want everyone to keep everyone in Northwest Florida in your prayers. Again, everyone there in Houston can relate to the recovery that it takes after a devastating storm, especially a hurricane. And again, there are a lot of families now without houses to go home to. Most of the families west of us, again, don't have power or clean running water. And so, it can't get gas. A lot of places are out of gas. And so it's really, really a barren state right now for the state of Florida. It's a state of emergency. And so, but again, I think that, the governor and various mayors are doing a stand-up job of getting help to the necessary places. So, again, it's football season. We're in Florida. Of course, you guys are in Texas, and you're in two football states where that's really a religion, second religion. But at this time, the focus definitely needs to be on the families and everyone that was affected by this terrible, terrible storm. And so, my final thoughts of this segment is really just keep everyone here in Florida and Georgia, various parts, and even up the eastern coast. I mean, this storm kind of did its damage all the way up that way, and I think that the death toll it continues to rise every day. Every day the number goes up, and so it really, really was a serious storm, one that none of us anticipated. When this thing first started, it was a tropical storm. They thought it was going to be a Category 2 at best, but by the time this thing hit land, it was a Category 4. And 2 miles per hour strong would actually be a Category 5. And it's the strongest hurricane to ever hit the Panhandle. And you can definitely see the damage that it caused. And so, again, just I can't say it enough. Just pray for our families. Again, we have players who have family members affected by the storm. my county, Gadsden County, again, 90% of the county is without power. There's some counties where 100% of the county is without power, and can be that way for some time. So, right now football's secondary, and like I said, the good Lord works in mysterious ways. But I think this bye week comes at a perfect time for us because it does give us an opportunity to do what we can as a football team, as a university, to help out the families that need help. And so anything anyone can do, even if it's just a prayer, we definitely need it, and we definitely welcome it. So, but thanks for your support. Thanks for always thinking of us over here. And again, just continued success to you guys over there. And maybe we'll see you guys in Atlanta, God willing.
Well, I'm hoping like mad, boy. We blew an opportunity, but that's a whole nother show. I have to talk about that some other time. He is Shotgun Willie Simmons with the FAMU Rattlers. I am the radio guy, the Dr. Mike Prince, with the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We will pause for the calls, and we'll be right back.
Each team starts their journey on separate roads, but they all converge to one road to the championship. There will be revenge and redemption. There'll be an Aggie and Eagle standoff. There'll be Bulldogs and Bears colliding with Tigers and Spartans. Hornets fighting off Bison and Wildcats rattling the Rattlers. The road has twists and turns. And when it ends, one thing is certain. Only one team will claim the title. MEAC champion.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time for today. I want to thank our special guest, Shotgun Willie Simmons, and congratulations to the FAMU Rattlers for being the number 1 seed, at least for this week, in HBCU football. I want to remind you that you can follow us on our social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Mike Prince Show. The website is obnradio.com, and our YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network. And don't forget, we have a 24-hour message line that you can dial in and leave your thoughts, comments, questions, or concerns at 713-570-6736. We will address some of those on tomorrow's show. Until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.